Well, hello, Ancestry cousins and Inquiring minds. I know I made a video a long time ago. I was going to start it, but I don't know. Just every time I get ready to start one and I go in and start looking to put it together, on Ancestry, I start end up doing research. And then I don't make no video. Okay, so this first one, we're going to start off with my third great grandfather, Daniel Keith. I first find him in 1880 in Prince George's County, Maryland. So by the 1900s, he's living in the District of Columbia. 1903, he's gone. So I'm looking at a death index record for him that says he's buried at a cemetery named Myrrh Creek. So this is an index, and it's the same on Family Search. So I talked to my mother. We're like, there's no cemetery in D.C., Maryland, or Virginia that we could find, or I could find, named Myrrh Creek. So I left it at that, went on to research something else, come back way later and find that I could finally get his death certificate from the D.C. archives. And I went to the wrong page. Why did I get on that page? Okay, so you go to the DC archives and you could request free birth certificates, death certificates, or marriage certificates. If you go there, you can see the dates that they are free. So death certificates, the uncertified ones, are free between 1874 and 1945. But you must know the dates. It's no search. They're not going to search like random, like in between 5 years. You must know the date. And the reason why I know the date of Daniel Keith's death, there was no obituary, but there was a death announcement in the newspaper. So that gave me that. It matched up with the address that I last found him in the city directory. And so I've just stumped at where he's buried. Now, I'm a person that likes to go to cemeteries. For some reason, it's like the final closure for me to be able to know where a person is buried. And if I could write up something, if they're not on Find a Grave, I could say something and put it on Find a Grave to say, this is where this person is. If they were cremated, that would be a good thing to put on Find a Grave too. I have a Find a Grave count, and I have added a lot of stuff there for ancestors that I found their graves where they were buried. So anyway, back to this Myrrh Creek. So when I finally find out that DC is offering these records for free at a certain through a certain time span, I was able to request his death record from the District of Columbia. And it has his address. The death records from the District of Columbia, I'm finding, have changed over time. It does not, it lists his age was 53. Now we're talking about Daniel Keith. He died July 18th, 1903. Okay, this is the date of his death. He's living at 518 First Street, Northwest. I confirmed that with the city directory, that's the same person. He said somebody has reported, not him maybe, that he was living in the District of Columbia for 18 years. And it wasn't him, because they said that he died at his residence and the doctor went there. That's what the newspaper article stated. So, and he died from, anyway. So at the bottom, it says to be filled out and signed by the undertaker. Place of burial. Now it's in cursive. Yeah, it's in cursive. And if you're not familiar with the area, I could see someone looking at that and saying, oh yeah, Myrrh Kirk or Myrrh Creek. And the date of his burial was July 21st, 1903. So within 3 days, he was buried. And then, who's the undertaker? Jesse Barnes. He's at 614 4.5 Street Northwest. So I looked him up. I found an article that was not so nice about a baby being found in the house, deceased, and oh gosh. So I do know that a body could have stayed in the house after they passed, because if they didn't have anywhere to store, so they could have been in the house. This is something that someone had told me a long time ago. Actually, it was Chief Langley, who I had taken genealogy classes under, and he had told me that before. And so, and if they were in the house, of course, they weren't refrigerated. So, to get back to the bottom of this, which is on my tree, I want you to go and look at it and study these type of things for yourself. I'm not going to do these videos where I share documents, because it's going to take a lot of time for me to learn how to do that and put all that together. I just want to tell a story, and you go look at it and listen back what I say and say, oh yeah, I remember what she said. Now, I'm telling you, indexers make errors. Go look at the document yourself if you can, the original document, okay? I mean, even on the census, when you get to that first one and they have all that stuff written out, the indexers make errors, okay? So, we know that he died on the 18th. He was buried on the 21st. So, it says that cemetery, I figured it out to be Merkirk, Maryland. The reason why is because he came from Vansville. Vansville, it's in the same area. Because I'm from DC and I know Prince George's County a little, so it's in the same area. So it's, and actually the MARC station, the MARC train stops there, and I use that sometimes to commute back and forth. So, and it says here that the route of transportation was the B plus ORR. So that meant that his body was transported on the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad to Merkirk. So that told me all of that right there in that death certificate. So what that told me to do was look up what was the closest black church at that time, and I found it, Queen's Chapel. We went there, and of course, I mean, we walked around it. The old church burnt. The new church is across the street. It still has the steps in the cemetery, but I couldn't find him. I didn't find a headstone for him. Of course, church records are destroyed when the church burnt. Same story over and over again. So I believe that he's in that cemetery. Now, why did he want to be buried in that cemetery is a question. What I believe at that time was, I do believe that he was a member of maybe the Benevolent Society of Abraham Hall out there, and so maybe that's why he was buried there, or perhaps there was another family member that was buried there. But I do know from my research that his son and his son's children wanted to be buried. Some of them were buried in Remington, Virginia. So I went in, and I don't know where Anna and Daniel Keefe came from in Virginia, because as I said, I first find them on the 1880 census, not the 1870 census, which is the usual censuses. So I went in and I went to Remington, Virginia censuses, and I found a Daniel Keith that I just recently, this is what I said about every time I go to do research to try to put together a story, I find something else and get distracted. So I found no Daniel Keith that was, that could have been his father. So I just added him on the tree to see if I possibly get any DNA hits that show a through lines connection, because that through lines connection that through lines of ancestry. I know a lot of people they don't believe, or they're afraid to take the ancestry DNA test and all that stuff, but I'm going to tell you right now from this first video, when my mother started ancestry before me, I started after her. The first things that she had on her tree with her mother and father, one person was wrong. And so that's all I'm going to say on this video. So I'm just saying, when you get your information, you're looking at what these indexers put, if you can get the original record and go from that. So and you have to know how to read cursive. So you need to practice reading cursive, because a lot of these old documents are going to be in cursive, and so the need to know how to read it is, it's very great. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope there was some information in there that you could take and use it, or maybe not. So thank you for watching.